welcome to The Pull, the only comic book show that we have where we talk about comics that came out this week. Today I am joined by Rob from Comics Explain. Rob, we're happy to have you here today. Joel from Cape Joel, and Caitlin from That Sea Monster. I'm Tiffany from Comic Pop, and we're going to get going right off the bat with Batman number 19. Rob, tell me about it.
I thought it was pretty solid, actually. Batman number 19. I feel like I Am Bane's kind of getting mixed views. I guess mixed reviews. I think some people are just kind of like, it's a story. Like it's a thing that exists. I like seeing Maxie Zeus like that. What a pull, dude! As soon as I saw that, like he was quoting that off, I was like, that sounds like Maximus Zeus, whatever his name is, and I was like, or Maximilian Zeus. I was like, that's crazy. And I had to rattle my brain for a second. I was like, he was a Batman the Animated Series character. I mean, he was in the comics before, but they had him in Batman the Animated Series. He looked better in Batman the Animated Series than he ever did in the comics.
Just some weirdo who thought he was Zeus.
Some crazy guy, who thought he was Zeus. And then, if I remember correctly, and I could be wrong with this, but I remember correctly, the only appearance he had in New 52 was Batman Eternal.
Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
And he was just like a small little like 8 appearances or 6 appearances or something like that. I mean, it was cool to just kind of see him there. But I that's what I love about the story is it's like every little thing matters, and it's literally him. It's like this full page speech, and at the end, it's just like all hope abandoned, ye who enter here, and like Bane just walks right by him, and I'm like, oh god, things are about to pop off.
How fun is it that the Greek-inspired villain is being the Greek choir for this issue?
Yes.
Right? That's what I've really been enjoying too about the I Am Bane arc in general is we have that classic Greek choir. We have that like running monologue across each issue. We get that monologue, and it just helps with the flow and the pacing of the story so much. And considering it gets convoluted at times, it's nice because those monologues have come in to provide clarity before.
Mm-hmm. Which is cool. I wouldn't mind having like Zeus just follow Bane around and just like offer these like prophetic quotes, whatever. Like when he's getting ready to go into battle. Dude, I'd be down. Like you can imagine Bane just kind of like jumping up and down, psyching himself up for a Batman fight, and like Zeus is just spouting off all these quotes and just like badass.
He's his Flavor Flav to Bane's Chuck D, is what you're saying.
Yeah. But I love the idea of I Am Bane because I feel like it's kind of breathing fresh life into him, which is what Rebirth is supposed to do. But like Bane just kind of felt like a character that DC threw in there just for the sake of like everybody knows who Bane is, right? Well, let's just like have him in Batman comics for a little while, whatever. Let's have him in like Batman Eternal, and it was cool to see. But I feel like this is finally like the Bane you know and love, the one that broke the Batman's back from 1994, 1993, whatever it is. This is the Bane you're getting back, and that's what I love. Like that's why I love that whole phrase from like the previous issue. When he's running off, he's like, "I'm not a joke. I'm not some riddle." He's just running off all these things. He's like, "I'm Bane." And I was just like, "That's so awesome." DC Mopey, splooge. Mopey's like, "Give it to me, Rob. Give it to me." But yeah, I mean, I guess a couple final words. I love it. I love I Am Bane. I like this I Am series of stories that we're getting. Like I Am Joker, I guess is going to be the one that we get next. But I'm loving I Am Bane. These story arcs that just focus on returning characters to the level of familiarity that we're used to. That's what I dig. So,
what stuck out to me about this one is that Bane is the main character of this issue, and he was kind of the main character of the last issue too. I like that Tom King, where I'm kind of unsure about his take on Batman, man, does he have great takes on other characters. And I like in this issue too, furthering that thing of like, I think Tom King thinks Batman is a dangerous madman because he's like, yep, let all the inmates out, armed them, they'll slow Bane down.
Yeah.
And Alfred's like, you maniac, what are you doing? I know what I'm doing, Alfred, I got this, I got it.
I like
Two-Face's just hanging on by a thread.
Yeah, I like Two-Face's line. What was he say? He's like, "I'm of two minds" or something like that. Like I love that. Yeah, I love that little line. I was like, what great use.
It's piggybacking too off of the Greek monologue when he goes, "I am one of two minds," and I'm like,
it's nice. If you're a literary buff.
I like that there was like a 7-minute difference between him talking to Maxie Zeus and then getting to Two-Face, who was just down the hall, which meant that he was standing there listening to Zeus for a really long time before he was like, I'm gonna go now. You can just keep doing what you're doing, but okay.
I also liked Julian Day's moment, the calendar man, where he shoots himself in the head. He's like, I'm not gonna pose any kind of threat.
Then quotes Adam
and
West of
Shrapnel.
Batman at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
kind of meta.
Yeah.
Calendar
Okay.
Man exists outside of time and space.
See, I kind of feel like a lot of characters are doing that, right? Like, or a lot of stories do that. Because I was thinking about that as I was going through this, because it really just does kind of center on like it's almost like sitting down and saying, "Hey guys, just so you know, here are like the most dangerous enemies of Batman." You know, and it was cool because like Superman did the same thing when Mxyzptlk was jumping through different forms, and we'll get to that. But then we also saw the same thing with like Rogues Reloaded. You know, it's just like, hey guys, here is the status quo on who is a main villain for this character and who's not. And it feels like all the stories have followed those patterns. Like it's all structured and it's all organized. Volume 1 is a reintroduction to the character. Volume 2 is a little bit of expansion. Volume 3 is a little more expansion, adding in a couple of sidekicks if they're necessary. Volume 4 continues that. Volume 5 is now let's focus on villains. And it seems really structured and really regimented, and it works because it keeps everything in order, you know. And it's just kind of interesting to me, something that I noticed with that.
Some nice moments for the Riddler too, as they're setting up the big summer storyline, the War of Jokes and Riddles.
Right.
Which I'd be down for that, like a Joker Riddler team up kind of thing. Like, I think it'd be kind of cool they did that.
Here's the thing: we got to hear a bit about it today on Bleeding Cool. Apparently, the War of Jokes and Riddles takes place after 0 Year, so this is going to be like Tom King doing year 2 to Snyder's year 0.
Hold on, so he's going back. to the
Apparently,
early
yeah,
days
that
of
it's gonna be shorter than 0 Year was, but apparently we're actually going to be going back, and he's going to be filling in the blanks there.
Yeah, 0 Year was something like 18 or 20
It was a year.
issues or something like that.
It was a year's worth of stories.
12 issues. Okay, cool. I couldn't remember exactly. I knew it was split into 3 parts.
Yeah.
But I couldn't
So-
remember. Yeah, it was pretty lengthy.
All right, so overall, Batman number 19, it served to move the story along. A lot of good development. Bane's more of the focus than Batman is, and it seems like pretty much everybody really dug it and
Yeah.
are feeling pretty comfortable with what King is doing right now. And we'll have to wait and see what happens in Batman number 20. But until that comes out, we got a bunch more books to talk about, including Spider-Man number 25. Joel, you're the only one of us who read it, and without Sal here to talk about Spider-Man, what's going on?
I'm sure somewhere Sal's senses are going, oh, someone's talking about Spider-Man
Yeah,
without
while he's
me.
pushing a car.
His ears are burning right now, and he doesn't know why. But yeah, so Amazing Spider-Man number 25, the Fallout issue of Clone Conspiracy, a book that will cost you a whopping $10 American if you want to buy this one.
What? Does it, like, give
Yeah.
you a kiss?
I know. Does it do your taxes? Is it lemon scented? I know, right? Tell me about
Hold
it.
on. Yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
How many
It's-
pages?
It's extra length. You get the main story, which is like your regular 22 comic. Then you get a bunch of other ones, but the real price point, the real reason I think they're charging you all this extra is that at the end you get a little taste of what happened of Dr. Octopus, and also a setup for what will be happening with Spider-Man and Secret Empire.
So you're saying that you think that they charged the $10 to make you wait for a reveal they were going to reveal anyway?
That seems to be the only reason they could justify this in my mind, because outside that, it's just a regular comic. It's not bad or anything. In fact, I liked it way more than I liked Clone Conspiracy. We essentially get to see Peter dealing with the fallout of the clones and everything. He's feeling kind of bad. He's throwing himself into his work with S.H.I.E.L.D. Kingpin gave him some information about where Norman Osborn's been hiding out. And Peter's like, okay, let's go get Norman then. I need a W in my column. I need to feel good. That last event didn't feel good, so let's catch a guy I know is bad. And he's so obsessed with it. You know, he's treating his team not well. And then, you know, him and his aunt go off to China because that's where his other business is set up. And they're having a big Uncle Ben themed charity night that night. But, oh, wait, Norman might be attacking there, too. And then another character who we thought was gone return. It's very Slott. If you've read a Dan Slott Spider-Man story, it hits all those points. But I would definitely say it was on the better side of it. And then you got a bunch of shorts. You got another one with Clayton Clash, seeing what happened to him. You got one where Spider-Man tries to adopt a dog in his early days, and his aunt was like, no. You get one about Sums. Yeah, they have a whole story in this about Marvel Sums. I kid you not. That's a real thing. That's a real thing in this $10 comic.
I'm glad I haven't really read it yet. It sounds like a jip. Like, I didn't even buy it. It sounds like a jip.
Does it
Like,
come with stickers?
It really should have. I really
Right.
should have come with stickers. It should have come with something. Because here's the thing: it's not bad, but oh my, is it not worth $10?
Ugh,
Wow.
that's a
Was that-
shame.
Do,
That's a
do you
real
guys
shame.
want to know about this? About the Dr. Ock thing, which is the big selling point of this?
Sal told me about it, so I'm fine if you want to tell. If people want to hear about that, it's kind of cool, but like not $10 worth of cool.
It's not, and it already kind of got leaked out. But for those who really want to protect themselves, fingers and ears for the next couple minutes. I'll give you the thumbs up when you can come back. So, all right. We check in with Doc Ock after the clone conspiracy. He has now uploaded his consciousness into the brand new perfect clone body, which he makes a point of saying, oh, I augmented with my own DNA, so I just look like a younger, hotter, more built version of myself. He tries to find one of his old stash houses to get his arms back, only to find out that his stash house has actually been taken over by Armin Zola and Hydra, who are working for Captain America. He beats those guys up, and Zola's like, man, you're pretty good. You beat up all our guys. How would you like to come work with us? And we can give you all this money and advanced technology, and you can build yourself a brand new awesome suit. And Ock's like, well, I got nothing better to do, so sure, why not? So he builds himself the superior octopus suit, which is black and green, and it's got arms, and it looks like a Spider-Man suit, and it's very Hydra-esque.
Wow.
It's a cool suit, and it's basically like, hey, you want to see what Spider-Man's doing for Secret Empire? This.
Yeah, it's kind of neat looking, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
it's a cool suit. It's
All
a
right,
cool
I think
suit.
that's the end of the spoilers, guys. Just
I'm done.
there we go.
Oh.
So now everybody can come on back. So again, all right. So Spider-Man 25. If you're looking to spend $10 and you don't know what to do with it, you can go ahead and get
Yeah.
it.
If you already have like a loaf of bread or some
Yeah.
eggs or some milk
Some
or
candy.
some
Exactly.
candy, like
exactly.
you've already bought
and you don't want to
necessary
like
things.
give it to charity or put it away for later. You just like it's just
Yeah.
burn a hole in your pocket, or maybe it's cursed and you have to get rid of it. You
Mhm.
go ahead and buy Spider-Man number 25. Find out the cool spoiler that we just found out about, and read some other stuff in there. Like
Can
some
buy a lot of
Zoom
Bazooka
comics
Joes
or-
for $10.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. See, somebody made a good point. Like Detective Comics 950 was 40 pages and it was $1 more. That's what I've noticed about DC. They're doing like these anniversary releases. You know, like these giant size or double size issue, and they're not $10.
No.
Like they're not $10.
It's
They're
extravagant.
banking
It is an
on-
extravagant.
They're
Yeah.
banking on the fact that it's Spider-Man and it's, you know,
Let me tell you something. If I'm not going to pay
They're
$10,
experimenting with their pricing to see exactly how much they can charge to just kind of up that cost.
Mm.
well,
I-
that's.
I'm wondering if they're playing with another price increase. That's
Right.
Hey everybody! Like we're struggling. Nobody's buying our stuff. So like, well, what do you think we should do, Jim? It's like, well, I think we should increase the prices. That's actually a really good idea. Steve, what do you think we should do? Well, we should just write better stories. Steve, you're fired. Like,
Fear of a $5 future, man.
like
Of a
eject this
$5
man.
comic.
Eject him out the window.
let me tell you
Release
something,
the
man.
hounds.
Like, that's. We're not going to go on a tangent on that, but I will say this: if Marvel really wants to price itself out of the market, $10 will do it, and
There
DC
it
will
is.
happily say, "Have at it, guys! Do that $10 thing." Hey, guys, like our DC books just decreased to $1.99. Like,
You could. How about this? For that same $10, you could go out and buy a lot of first volumes of Image Comics, because Image Comics
Yeah.
first volumes tend to be around $10. So
Yeah. Dude,
All right,
indie
so
trade.
you can buy
Let's-
a really quality indie story or trash.
up to you. So let's move away from Spider-Man for a little bit. Let's just clear those cobwebs away.
Oh, I see what you did there.
I'm
Ha
sorry.
Ah,
ha!
Let's talk about Batwoman number 1, Caitlin.
Batwoman number 1 was pretty good. So we're actually, I guess, kind of picking up off the heels of Night of the Monster Men in Batwoman number 1, where they are hunting down people who are actually selling the monster venom on the black market. And apparently it's been refined in a way that it can turn you into a monster and allows you to revert back with as little physical damage as possible, unlike the previous monster venom, where you became a monster, and then when you stopped being a monster, you were pretty much dead. Which sucked. So yeah, and we get to kind of see a little bit of what Batwoman's solo operations look like. We get her Alfred / possibly significant other.
I wasn't sure about that either.
It was really flirty, and it wasn't a very subtle kind of flirty.
No, but there was like another lady involved too who wasn't there, who they, I was like, double dipping.
Oh, Thor brought me a Batman Lego. That's really nice of him. Sorry, he just came into the room and he was like, "Did you say Batman?" And I'm like, "No, Thor, Batwoman." He was like, "I'm sorry, I brought the wrong Lego." Okay,
That's
there we go.
smart dog.
So I guess here's my question: did they bring back Ben Oliver for the art?
Did they bring back Ben Oliver for the art? I'm
Because
not
he was
totally
he was
sure.
the one that did Batwoman Begins for Detective Comics.
Detective comic?
Yeah, he's the one that the Batwoman Begins 2-part miniseries of Detective Comics, because his art was amazing.
I think it's Steve
Let me-
Epting.
It was pretty.
I'm taking it's Steve Epting.
And
That's
he's good, man. I gotta tell you, he's good. He does a good job of like being really evocative of that super gorgeous Batwoman run that they did, where it's like he's doing his own thing, but every once in a while he busts out some of these crazy panel layouts and gorgeous colors. It looks good.
It's beautiful. The Batwoman issues, they're turning out to be really stellar, both visually, and the dialogue is really great. The relationships that she has with her team are really interesting, not only because there's potential for that romantic subplot to be going on, but also because it's kind of a team dynamic that we don't really see too often, because there is clearly a really intimate dynamic there, but we don't quite know where everyone's position is in regards to this team or how open Batwoman is to anyone. And she is clearly more relaxed and does trust a lot more than Batman, as can be seen when she's taking a break sipping martinis on her yacht, which she acknowledges like how spoiled and kind of weird that is. She's self-aware of her own situation, but it's not in a weird way. But she returns to the island of Coriana, which is part of her origin story, and is apparently being overrun by this monster venom on the black market. And there's also an overarching plot, shadowy organization that's kind of taken over this little villainous cesspool that is Coriana. And her team is like, "Where are we going? What is Coriana? I don't have a lot of intel on it." And she's like, "I have no idea what that is either." But she does. She was there for apparently a very long time. So,
That's awesome.
But yeah, we kind of leave off on a cliffhanger where she docks at Coriana and she runs into an old friend who is bleeding and dying in her arm. And he's like, "Why did you come back to Coriana? You shouldn't have come back." And I'm like, classic cliffhanger.
Yep.
We're clearly headed in for a pretty good story, and it's moving at a really fast pace, which I like.
And there's throwing knives.
And they're throwing. So that's always.
Speaking of throwing knives, Caleb Xavier.
Nice. See, what I liked about that one is you tied it into the conversation. It was flawless.
Yeah, Caleb Xavier has nothing to do with throwing knives, but
we don't know, he could.
That's
he
okay.
could.
You were
He's a
throwing
master
the
of throwing
splooge.
knives.
It's okay.
Caleb, are you a master of throwing knives?
Yes, I went to school for many years for it.
So overall, Batwoman is, I read it too. I agree with Kaylin. It's a really fun story. It's a great jumping on point if you haven't been reading Batwoman. It's nice to see two writers working together so well, because you got Marguerite Bennett and Tynan the Fourth working as one, essentially, like some sort of hybrid monster writer. And it's just going really well. I can't wait for the next issue to come out. But we're gonna keep this train rolling and go to something that I'm the only one who cares about, which is Monsters Unleashed number 5. It's over.
How was it?
It was fun. It was stupid fun, and I feel like they saved the best artist for last because we got some Adam Kubert art, and he did amazing for the big final monster fight. And Joel, you would actually dug this issue a lot, man, because there's like classic movie monster things going on, and then they get all kind of pushed away for like the more like Saban-like style monsters, which are all new and in there, and it's just a lot of fun. And like, yeah, he's an Inhuman, but like they put a lot less emphasis on it than you thought they would have. And in the long run, they save the day because it's the hero book, and it's that kind of story, and everybody knew that. It was just how they were going to do it, and It all made sense in the end. And now Kay and his family are off on Mew Island. So that's kind of cool. Like, it's him and 5 other monsters that he created, and they live there, and that's where this whole Kid Kaiju thing's coming down. And at the end of the day, like, Sam Wilson tells him, he's like, man, you got some choices. You can train with the Inhumans or the Avengers or the Champions. That's up to you, man. And nobody pushes anything on him.
That's and then nice. He was like, I'm just going to reenact where the wild things are.
Well, no, he goes there with his family, and, like, the Inhumans and some other people build him a house there. So they live in this big, awesome house.
That's cool.
And, like, he, like, video chats with Lunella because they're, like, pals and stuff. And I'm like, that's adorable! It was harmless. And it was fun to see all of our heroes working together. Oh, also, Elsa Bloodstone is, like, forever watching over him now. So, like, anybody who wants to screw with him is going to get a hearty helping of her shoe up there. And,
I hope she shows up in the Monsters Unleashed solo thing. That would be a nice way to kind of keep her active in the universe.
So, like, overall, like I said, look, it wasn't for everybody. I totally get it. But it was a harmless summer blockbuster that came out not in the summer, you know, like, it doesn't do anything except create Kid Kaiju. It doesn't really change anything else in the world. Damage Control had a lot of work to do, but we just got to see a lot of cool monster fights.
To
I
build,
feel like that's something Marvel really needed, though, because a lot of people have been complaining that there hasn't been enough, like, simple heroics going on, and that everything requires a lot of thought, and they're like, where is my popcorn eating comic? Where is the comic where lots of action happens and I don't have to think about life? And this was it. And it was really cute and it was super fun, but people still found something to complain about.
Oh yeah, no, and that, you know what it is? It's they had a lot of things going against it. Like, you know, people are event fatigued. People aren't feeling Inhumans right now. Like, it had a lot going against it. Bunn told the story he wanted to. They were on time with every issue because they changed up the artists in every issue. And I think at the end of the day, I think people are going to dig this in trade.
Like, you know, like, that is trade. That's probably true. You know, I think you're right, Tiffany. I think a story like that would be good in trade. And the reason why I think it would be good in trade is because it would give them a break from having to read Avengers versus X-Men and Inhumans versus X-Men in trade, which was trash.
Yeah, it was.
Trash.
Totally not worth it.
Hey, guys, like, we're going to have, like, Kamala Khan and basically the Champions Unity Squad, like, solve the problem, and then Emma Frost is going to be the new Gambit. Why? Because reasons, or the new Magneto. Because reasons. It's like, you know what, Marvel, like, just stop while you're behind, all right? They
just need to take a chill pill. They need a hearty dose of chill out, because some of this stuff doesn't even make sense. I mean, from the standpoint of X-Men becoming the main villains in this Inhumans conflict and basically inflicting on the Inhumans everything that they've gone through, including mass extermination. What?
I think you mean that the other way around.
Why would they do that? Well, Emma Frost kind of switched it up. She was the one who was like, let's exterminate the Inhumans in the same way that we were exterminated. And I was like...
The fact that none of the X-Men had even a shred of irony during that whole thing. It's like, hey, wait a minute, I don't think Xavier would have been cool with this.
Yeah, that's kind of why they need Xavier back. Like, they needed to have, like, Xavier show up. And it's just like, he's like, X-Men, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I mean, we're trying to protect ourselves. He's like, are you fucking crazy? Is this really what we're doing now? Like, we're just killing Inhumans? Like, hey, look, like, if Tony Stark can make, like, a giant thing that can basically absorb the energy of the sun to try to stop the multiversal collapse, he can give you a place to chill outside of the effects of the Terrigen mess.
You know what my favorite moment of that whole event was? And this is just a short little thing. Apparently, Havoc has been alive and living in the X-Men's basement this whole time, just not doing it. Hi, guys, remember at the end of Axis, I went evil and kidnapped Janet? We had, like, children in another alternate future. Yeah, I've just been living down here the whole time, Phantom of the Opera style. Don't mind me. And then he leaves again at the end. Bye.
That was Charles Soule and company just be like, so how do we write ourselves out of this? It's like, I don't know. Whatever happened to Havoc? It's like, well, I don't know. You just disappeared for a while. Bring him back.
Doesn't pay rent. That's just what he does.
Also, to just quickly bring it back to Monsters Unleashed, I don't know how many of you are reading that new Deadpool event right now, Till Death Do Us. it's hilarious because in that story, the Monster Queen leads a monster army to take over Manhattan, and the joke is no one in New York cares because they're like, "Oh, the monsters are attacking again. Didn't we do this last week, everyone?" And Blade's like, "Okay, am I late, Blade? I'm here now. I can help out, right?"
Oh my god, the moments that he was in this as a whole were really funny. Like he only has a couple of spotlight moments, but one of them is that like he's like, "Do you guys ever notice you only call me when there's going to be a high death toll? Have you ever noticed that? You don't just call me regularly?" And I was like, "Yes." Well, I mean, that's kind of what you do, man. It's the puzzle piece you fit. Is click, yay, dead. So overall, Monsters Unleashed, I had a great time with it. Again, I understand like right now people weren't looking for it right now. It was a poor timing, just overall. But give it a little time. When it comes out in trade, I recommend giving it a read because it was just stupid fun. And like you get to see all these different art styles and monsters. Anyway,
Monsters.
I made a really quick last-minute change-up because I made a mistake in the chart. So, Joel, I hope you're prepared to talk to us about All-Star Batman number 8.
Yes. Okay. So this is the continuing Snyder epic with a different artist every time. It was Kevin Coley who did this one.
Yeah.
I know Sal and Comic Pop praised this guy all over the place, and you know what? Oh, really? Not?
No, Sal does not like his work at all.
Oh, he doesn't like him. I know he said him.
I like his work on Green Valley. I think it depends on if the man likes what he's doing or not.
I think he liked Batman because I thought this was a pretty book.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And fit, too, because this one is totally trippy. Basically, Batman wants to get to the bottom of who these weird Black Hawk guys are who are after him with their super advanced stealth tech that not only makes you invisible, but also tricks your mind into seeing things that aren't there. And the way Batman figures it, there's only one guy he knows who can pull that off, and that's Jervis Tetch, the Mad Hatter.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so this is all a Mad Hatter-focused issue.
Oh, yeah. There was a moment, I'm not going to lie, partway through this book where I was like, I'm having a great time. And then I hit this moment where I'm like, I'm not having fun anymore. And then immediately following that, I was like, okay, no, we're good. Because there was a second where I was like, are we doing that Buffy episode where now we're going to question everything, if it's real or not? Because I hate that. And then they're like, no, never mind. I was like, okay, cool.
What is reality with Batman?
I was like, no. Okay, we're not. We're good. Okay. Yeah. It was good. It was fun.
Sometimes I'm sitting here, I wish I had like a handlebar mustache. So I could just be like, and I could just like twirl my handlebar mustache like, yes, I see what you are saying there. No, okay, so with Scott Snyder's Batman, I was a little on the fence, and again, I haven't really read this one yet, but I'm on number 7, so I'm as current as I can be without reading this one. I was a little on the fence because I was like, well, if he's leaving the main Batman title, well, the main Batman title is where all the great storytelling is going to be, because DC wants to keep that title up in terms of popularity. But then again, Snyder did so much work in Batman that it's not like you can just ignore him. It's just like, you can't just blow him off. Plus, I really liked, I liked a lot of the stuff that he did. And so going through it, I kind of feel like he's doing such an awesome job here because he's doing what he did in his original Batman run, introducing new things, turning a lot of the mythos on its head. Bruce Wayne is the greatest detective in Gotham City, yet was somehow unaware that a group had been operating for 300 years, and so on and so forth. I liked a lot of those things, but I like the idea that if he has to team up with Mad Hatter, that's something that we would never see. We would almost never see Batman team up with his enemies, or at the very least work with them. I think it's kind of cool to see that scenario unfold, and I think that's what's really going to kind of help keep it alive, is seeing like these strange bedfellows coming together in stories that unfold in an interesting way. So
it's also quite the retcon in Back to Square One for Jervis as well, where it's like, okay, well, now we got to talk about how he met Batman for the first time, what he was selling, and instead of like, oh, I have hats that control people, don't you want to invest in this? It's hats that change your perception, so you can skin the world to whatever you want, but if you wear them too long, you'll never be able to unsee.
Oh yeah, even if you take it off, it'll still be there. And like, there's a minute where like they completely make you question if Batman is Batman. And, like, he does it so well that it made me mad.
I know, right? He really does. And in classic Snyder fashion, he's like, hey, what if the villains weren't just villains? What if they were Lovecraftian horrors?
I know.
Yes.
I know. It
I love
was.
it.
He loves that.
Yeah. So this was fun. You know, out of the gate, like Rob said, like I was not huge on this all-star version that Snyder was writing, but like as we've been getting into these character studies, I'm so much more on board. I feel like it's a place where Snyder's way more comfortable writing.
Yeah.
It's like
That
these character-driven stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it just feels like a story that he can write at his leisure. It's really what it feels like. Like it feels like the way the stories come across, it doesn't feel like he's writing it in a rush. It feels like it feels like he's sitting in a coffee shop somewhere, just kind of taking his time, you know, putting the whole thing together. It's like, well, you know, I'll get around to, and that's the feel, and it's good because it feels relaxing. It feels comfortable. It feels like it moves forward organically, as opposed to his whole run, you know, during New 52, which was insane. It was just back-to-back things, you know, nonstop, you know, which was great for action at the time. But we don't want two of that with a Batman. So we already have it with Detective. We already have it with Batman. We don't need it with All-Star Batman. So.
That's true.
Yeah.
So overall, All-Star Batman #8, I think Jill and I both agree that this was a good book. I think even if you haven't been keeping up with the series, you could pick this one up, and it gives you a lot of stories, like backstories to what's going on. Snyder's really good about kind of treating this as like, what if this is your first, like, you know, like trip into All-Star Batman with me? Here's kind of what's
He really
happening.
does.
So, you know, if you haven't been on board, you can go grab this one. You'll be totally fine. Staying in DC, Nightwing. I don't know what number this is, but Caitlin?
I think I don't remember what number it was either, but I do remember what happened, which is good.
That's what matters.
It's not 19, I know that much, because it started a little late.
Yeah, no, it's not 19, but
17.
17. Okay, so Nightwing number 17. It basically picks up a little bit where we left off with the disappearance of Sean. Nightwing and Damian are still tracking her down, and they basically track her to this abandoned tomb where there are all of these coffins. And out from one of the coffins pops Deathwing.
Deathwing.
Yes, and he's wearing a very Snyder-esque skin mask with very scary black eyes, and he's incredibly spoopy. And there is likewise a Death Robin to match the Deathwing.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it turns out the Deathwing has been brainwashed into thinking it is Nightwing in his entirety.
Just like he was originally.
Yep. And just like he was originally, and he's spouting all of the different hang-ups that Nightwing has towards Batman and towards Damian.
Every time you say Deathwing, I think of the dragon from WoW that caused the cataclysm.
Yes,
I'm just
Dick
like,
is fighting
that
the
seems like
dragon.
an unfair fight.
It seems a little mismatched. But it was pretty good. It's funny though, because the Damian, you would think Damian would have the same hang-ups as Deathwing, but as Deathwing is about to strike the final blow against Nightwing, the Damian version kind of swoops in and starts fighting Deathwing.
I love they brought Deathwing back.
I know, it was a brief fight, but it was really cool to get to see. And something that we also got that I think is a little window into the overarching plot is that when Deathwing cuts Nightwing's forehead, Nightwing describes that he feels like something is bleeding out, possibly his mind, and he can see all possible futures and all possible timelines. And he feels like he's drowning in worlds upon worlds. And when he looks at Deathwing, he sees every iteration of himself and Deathwing. And when he looks at Damian, he sees all these different versions of Damian. And
that's
it's
super
really,
cool.
It's really cool. That was probably my favorite part of the issue. And I think it was a little, like, it was like, oh, look, here's a clue. Boop.
See, I feel that's got to be important, because if you know your Deathwing lore, he was put together by, like, a dude called the Time Trapper, who was an old, like, Spider-Man extended DC, or Superman, sorry, not Spider-Man. Yeah, what the fuck am I doing? You know, like an older Superman thing. And I know one of the crazier theories out there for Mr. Oz is that he could possibly be the Time Trapper back again.
Could be.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that sounds like it's kind of foreshadowing to the idea of like a crisis, which I wouldn't be against. I'd love the idea of a new crisis because it'd be good to like. Okay, so here's the deal. Like, I never read DC when the crises were happening, and like I want to be on the ground floor when one happens. It's almost like it's like I want to be there when like they demolish a building. Like I want to be there when it happens. I want to see it. You know. This is kind of what I'm thinking about. It's kind of the same thing for me.
I'm learning a lot about Rob today.
It's kind of like when the Slender Man mythos happened, and if you were there at its origin with something awful and then marble hornets, and everything felt so real, and it was all happening in real time, and this myth was just kind of being created right before your eyes, all of this lore, it's really, really cool when that sort of thing happens. Yeah. I feel you, Rob. I understand this feeling.
I mean, we kind of had it for Flashpoint, but Flashpoint happens so quick, you know?
It's not, it's not the same where it's like just being, when it's like a full-scale event that is going to impact the entire comic universe, the entire DC universe for years to come. It's different.
Cool. So,
anyway.
Overall, Nightwing
was...
it's good. Good place to pick it up now, or should they go back or wait for this to end?
I think they should go back at least one issue, because the issue where Nightwing's kind of creating his little, back like 2 issues, where he's creating his little love nest with Sean, they go over a synopsis of what happened leading up to that point. So all you have to do is go back. Yeah, all you have to do is go back a couple issues and you'll be fine.
Which, by the way, I love Sean's character. I just want to get that out there. I love her character.
He's just putting it out there. Just want to write it out.
She's a great character.
She's a great character with and without Nightwing, which makes their ship so much more acceptable to me.
Dick has had a lot of love interests, so it's kind of hard to rise to the top of those. But yeah, I like her for all the same reasons.
All right, Rob. While you're putting the whole thing about you liking Sean out there, why don't you tell us about Venom #5?
Oh, okay. I feel like I'm in the minority of people here, right? Like I feel like I'm in the small number of people who dig Venom. All right, I
like Venom. I just hate all the dumb stuff that's been done with him over the years.
Dude, man, it feels like Jesus is standing outside my window, man.
Are you part of the rapture right now, man? Like,
that's what it feels like, man. The end times are upon us. Like,
Jesus loves you, Rob. He loves you a bunch.
Your white shirt is glowing, which is causing this reflection to cast over your face.
Dude, I had the curtains closed and I opened them up and it's just like my child.
Or like Gandalf the White has returned from his mighty battle with the Balrog.
No, I like Jesus. Or, I'm sorry, not Jesus.
Jesus loves you, Rob.
Jesus, I tolerate you.
Jesus is my favorite comic character.
Oh my god!
He was on all the best teams.
I really like Venom. Like, okay, so.
Wait, we can't hear more about how much you like Jesus?
Jesus, take the wheel.
Hey guys, if I ever told you.
I really did. I really dig the Venom story. And honestly, I love Lee as a character. Like, I love the Lee-Venom relationship. But I get that this story is not about Lee. Just like Agent Venom was not about Flash Thompson, and before that it wasn't about Matt Gargan. It was about the Venom symbiote. Like, that's what it was about. It was about the evolution of the Venom symbiote, which you only realize that in hindsight. Like, you only realize that when you start reading Marvel Now Venom, and the symbiote's like, I don't want to do bad things. My last host was a good guy. I want to be a good guy. I want to do good things. That being said, I love the idea that the Venom symbiote's being forced to be a bad guy. Because what it does is it makes Lee, or whatever his name is, look worse. It makes them look like
the script has been flipped.
Exactly. The script has been flipped. Having said that, I don't really want to see him go away. I mean, I really want to see Eddie Brock come back. I don't want to see him like go away forever. I could see like another symbiote being spun out and him becoming that other symbiote. But I think that with the story, with what they're doing right now, it really is. It's kind of wrapping it all up. I mean, it's bringing back in the the FBI's anti-symbiote team, or whatever it was, the one that was defunct. At the end of at the end of the second Carnage story arc, the one that they got rid of, I think it was.
Oh, Carnage USA or whatever.
The one where Carnage had like the Dark Home and all that kind of stuff, and like Eddie.
Oh,
Brock,
that was the Jerry Conway one. That was good. I like that one.
Yeah, well, they remember that team they had where Eddie Brock was kind of like the Well, that team went defunct, and this team is basically kind of coming back, and it's just bringing Eddie Brock back into the fold again. We know that
is
Eddie
he
Brock
still Toxin?
No. That actually ended at the end of, or that went away at the end of the most recent Carnage run. He gave the Toxin symbiote over to some chick who had another symbiote. I can't remember what it was. So she was basically sporting two symbiotes.
Cool.
So it was a way to get rid of the Toxin symbiote from Eddie Brock, so they could give him the Venom symbiote when Venom Chapter 6 comes out. But the story's great for what it is. I mean, it's a great continuation. It's obviously winding down. You get Venom versus Spider-Man, really Venom versus Spider-Man and Scorpion. It's pretty cool, how it plays out. But I like this. This is something that needs to be small. Lee needs to be Venom for like a single story arc. That makes sense. But it's a good comic. It's enjoyable. If you dig the idea of the Venom symbiote, if you liked Agent Venom, if you liked Matt Gargan Venom, if you liked the idea of the Venom symbiote like itself kind of going through this cycle of being a bad guy, then becoming a good guy, then going back to being a bad guy again, then I think you'll dig this story. But that's just me.
That's awesome, man. We don't really talk about Venom a whole lot. Like, he's there and he does things, and sometimes people like
Fight
him.
Club.
Some people, yeah, exactly. The first rule about Venom is we don't talk about him, so I broke the rule. I'm out. I will not be considered for a symbiote.
Well, that's why it's good, is because it brings to life the concept of Venom. It's not just a tool to be used. Like the Venom symbiote, works, doesn't want Lee to do bad things. It constantly talks in his ear. There's actually a point where the Venom symbiote says, "Look, the more I'm bonded to you, the more I learn about you," and it begins to learn everything that Lee is coming from, which actually makes him a little more of a tragic character because his life is just mired in misery. And so it really kind of changes things. But I love what they're doing by giving the Venom symbiote personality. I love what they're doing with this.
That's really cool. That's super cool. Guys, look, Rob is super excited about this, so I feel like that means you should go get it.
Yeah.
Now I feel bad that I didn't read it. Thanks a lot, Rob.
As long as someone's reading it.
Right? Exactly. What?
Yeah, it's got one sale, and that person is me.
They're like, but it's Comics Explained, so just keep making it. I don't care.
It's totally worth it. He'll make a video on it one day, and we'll be golden.
I don't know if you know this, but Rob loves Jesus, so
Yeah. Rob loves Jesus. Rob loves Venom.
They're still printing the Bible.
Yeah.
Exactly.
No. It's perfect logic. Okay, it's perfect logic. If it's the transitive property. If Rob loves Jesus and Rob loves Venom, then that means that Venom is Jesus. So we have to keep Venom.
Well, to be fair, he just keeps coming back, doesn't he?
He just keeps coming back.
The
resurrection.
The resurrection of Venom.
I gotta tell you, if we put Venom in a cave and that rock was gone, I'd be like, oh, we're in trouble.
Oh man! And on the third day, Venom rose.
Or like, oh. He could be anywhere.
You definitely wouldn't be sending 3 unarmed women to go check on it.
No.
Like a Jesus Venom book. Yeah, like the Venom symbiote gets time displaced and Jesus becomes Venom.
I need this fan comic. Rob, you've created something I desperately need.
And then he just takes out Punch's pilot and he's like, Judas, what now?
Jesus
Pontius
Venom
was like,
crossover.
man, you couldn't work on those sonic weapons in time. You really needed some sonic weapons to deal with Jesus.
This has gone someplace we
Mary Magdalene has a Black Canary type sonic scream.
Oh, there
She's
you
the
go.
only one who can take down Jesus Venom.
I like it. I like it a lot. Marvel, call us.
Yeah,
Marvel,
I have a feeling. I feel a feeling they just took us off their list if they were watching.
Yeah.
It's okay. We'll make our own Jesus Venom book.
We'll
do it.
Moving away from a disaster of biblical proportions, let's. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
It makes me so happy. So much
Hard to
joy.
not do them.
I know. Let's talk about Super Sons #2. Oh my god, I love this book so much. If just Peter J. Tomasi could just write things all the time. And George Jimenez could draw John in every single book that he's in, I would be really happy, because in my opinion, he does the best John of all of the artists who are drawing him. And one in particular, I'm like, no.
I love
John
how
had a
he
good
does
week.
The little red nose, the shiny red nose.
They're all cute, and
the cheeks.
yeah. And I gotta tell you, in this book, we get totally the payoff of the last page of the last issue, where we see Superlex, or Suplex as I'm going to call him, talking
Suplex.
and dealing with children, which all I hear is Clancy Brown reading the lines in the book, and like it's just amazing because in my opinion, Lex Luthor should never deal with children, like ever, and so that's funny because he's like, I'm a good guy, but God, kids are weird, and what am I going to do?
Little malformed people.
Exactly, and like, John does his role of being a diversion, which is so funny because that's really what Robin was invented to be in the first place, but in this case, Robin's like, oh no, I'm in charge now, you're the diversion.
I'm the alpha friend.
Exactly. Breaking into LexCorp, he has like a couple of explosive devices, but of course that's a another diversion for what he's actually doing, which is downloading security cam footage so that we can find out about that kid who is essentially the kid, in my opinion, he's not, but like he reminds me of the Wish Me to the Cornfields kid from the Twilight Zone.
He's almost like that. If when they grew up, that kid and Baby Doll from the animated series had a kid,
yeah,
that's who he is.
Yeah.
It's like so upsetting.
It's bizarre, and in this book, like, it's like, we're having a fun time, and then it's like, oh, right, we're in the real world where bad things happen to people who are not bad sometimes, and Reggie ends up killing, like, his whole family except his sister, in a really brutal way, and we see some of it, and then we see the aftermath of it later on, and we find out that Reggie has the Amazovirus still in him, in a sense, like, everybody was cured, but not everybody, oops.
Nice callback. I wondered if they were going to do anything with that.
And and his whole family had it, they kind of disappeared off the map, and it kind of seems like maybe his sister are the only ones who really still have it or are going to use it, and he's gone like bonkers essentially. So Damian and John go to investigate at his, like, whatever the last location they have for him, and we get a really fun end page to that, which I'm not gonna spoil for you, but it's just cute and fun, and I can't wait for the next issue.
Sounds like a winner.
It is. I love this book.
I wish Super Sons wasn't monthly. Because I want it all day, every day.
Man, I feel like the only thing that could have made this better is if the artist was John Boy Myers. I feel like it's the only thing that would have made it just like ooze.
Really?
Fun?
I feel like Jimenez is a perfect.
Oh yeah, Jimenez is fine. Like yeah, he's perfect for what it is. I just kind of feel like with a short run, and maybe it's just because I'm like fiending for more John Boy Myers because he had like 2 issues of Teen Titans and was like peace and then bailed out.
Right.
I think you're just fiending because Jimenez is perfect.
Yeah, he's really good. That being said, I mean, like I said, I haven't read issue number 2 yet, but issue number 1 was so fun, and I feel like this really just kind of like rounds out DC Rebirth, right?
Yeah,
like we get our serious titles, we get our our nostalgia feels titles with Superman, which we'll be talking about 19 in this video or in this podcast. We get all of our fixes. The only thing we were lacking was like just fun, like 2 kids running around doing crazy stuff. Damian Wayne impersonating a school bus driver, kind of comic book story that we needed.
That's pretty good.
We have that now, and it's just like, and it kind of feels like now they have all the bases covered, and so I think it'll be kind of cool.
Can we also talk about how Damian Wayne impersonated his 8th grade geography teacher? Can we talk about that for a second?
For a while too, apparently.
Yeah, for a year he did that. He was like, you taught 8th grade geography, and he was like, yeah, and I did it better than your teacher did. You're welcome.
Yeah.
I mastered that when I was 4.
Yeah, well, Damian is all about proving something that no one's asking him to prove.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's his character in a nutshell.
Like, dude, chill out, man. What I think I like about this is how much it reminds me in a way of Stand By Me. Except there are fewer kids.
Don't say that, because Stand By Me had this. It was the saddest movie ever.
It really did.
Just saying. In this issue, we got the 2 of them. They find a bunch of dead bodies.
Yeah.
I want to see Damian Wayne die.
Jonathan runs up when Jonathan super punches Damian out of the way, and he's like, "No, people are dead.
Yeah.
I'm out, man."
Yeah. It's
Assume
time
there's
to
gonna
call
be a
in
train.
the adults. Like,
somebody killed them with a hot iron, and I'm done.
Yeah.
It's going to
He
be a
goes to
train
throw up
soon,
in
the
the
Lex
woods.
Express.
Exactly. So,
No.
guys, if you're not buying Super Sons, but go buy it.
Get on
It's
it.
awesome and fun and but it's trying to it's not even trying. It is taking itself seriously. You have a good time with this, but you're getting a serious story. It's not so comical that it's just like, who cares what's happening? It's like, no, you care what's happening with these kids because they're at this age where they're trying to figure out everything essentially.
Yeah.
So it's awesome and fun and
Yeah.
But all right, let's go and talk about Daredevil number 18. Joel, you love everything about Daredevil in general.
Joel,
Right
man,
now
you're
I do.
all about Daredevil.
Charles Soule is killing it right now on Daredevil. This is his saga. This is his masterpiece as it stands right now. And it is still piling on all that good stuff that I like. This is the continuation of the stuff with the Purple Children. And with the Purple Children, of course, means you get the Purple Man. Zedediah Kilgrave makes his big return to the comics right now. And hey, you look like David Tennant now.
Oh.
That's new and interesting. You look just like Tennant now. Funny how that works. He's trying to get all the Purple Children back together because he knows if he has them, he can, further his power of broadcast. Daredevil's got to fight him, and by the end of this story, we will find out how Daredevil made everyone forget. And I mean, obviously, now that we know that the Purples are involved, that's going to be important to it. But we actually see Daredevil do a bit of a swerve in this issue, and he's like, I was so sorry for what I did, and I had to forget because of what I did. Yeah.
Cool.
More of that classic Matt Murdock shame.
Matt Murdock just can't get a break.
He really can't. There was an amazing fight scene in this where he had to battle a bunch of people who are under Purple Man's control. And he's like, these people won't stop. They will come at me until they are dead. And so I need to essentially find a way to beat them without killing them. So I need to be like, okay, pressure point, broken kneecap. Okay, you can't move now.
This
All
is
right.
kind of a random, it's a bit of a random thought, but I always kind of thought this, that purple guy from Five Nights at Freddy's was maybe somewhat of an homage to the Purple Man from Daredevil. I always kind of thought about it. I was like, I wonder if this villainous purple thing is like a conscious decision that they're making because Purple Man from Daredevil is one of the best baddies around and is known for assault and violence in that
And
way.
being a sleaze, yeah.
Being a sleaze. Anyway,
Possibly.
kind of a random thought.
I don't know. I mean, Mark Waid did a lot of really good things with Daredevil Volume 4, whatever it was.
Sure
He did
did.
a lot of really cool things. One of the things I didn't care for was the Purple Children. I thought it was kind of weird. I kind of felt like it was the idea of, well, what do we do with Purple Man now? Like all he's done is made a small cameo appearances. Let's do something. Let's have like purple kids. It's not terrible.
They're paying them off huge in this story. Trust me. If you didn't like them, you'll like this.
Okay, well, that's what you've been saying. Like you've been saying, like it's a total like revamp of, well, not really revamp, but it's a great thing that's going on. I agree with you up to this point because I read up to the Daredevil Elektra fight, and that's as current as I am. I haven't read past that yet.
Yeah.
But if it is as good as you say, then I'll have to check it out. But that was one thing because as soon as you said that, I was just kind of like, really, the purple kids? Like, I mean, I'm pretty sure I could do without them being in there. And it would be fine.
Not only are they in it, but they might be central to this whole thing, is it? And like they might actually really pay them off in a huge way. Because I was not expecting Soul to go back to them. Of all the characters and all the stuff Waid had written, I was not expecting that. But to see them come back and in the way they came back, I'm like, okay, that's pretty genius, actually.
That's
Awesome.
Pretty good. I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, I know.
Tiffany's like,
Joel,
yeah, that's cool.
You have been a true proponent of Daredevil and many of the titles that are coming out in that same kind of universe. So
Yeah.
you'll let us know if it starts going awry.
I will. Well, I mean, basically, I loved everything out of this new Daredevil push, except for Bullseye, is the only thing I didn't like out of the whole thing.
That's fair. That
Yeah.
is kind of fair. It's a shame.
So, question, because here's something that I'm wondering. In regards to the Purple Children, are they still keeping like the way they were originally done, where they're just like a byproduct of Kilgrave, just going around and knocking chicks up? I mean, is that really what it is?
Basically, yeah, and that they're more powerful when they're together because they have like a shared thing where they can actually overpower their father, and their radius is much bigger. But Kilgrave wants them all together so he can manipulate their power for himself because they also give him a boost at the same time. But one of the coolest scenes they have here is Daredevil says, I don't even know how Kilgrave got out of jail, but I have some ideas. And we have this thing where I'm sure it's how Kilgrave gets out every time, and that is some dumb guard thinks, ooh, I bet I could use his powers for, my own uses, if I could just get him to talk to this lady for me. And Kilgrave's like, every time you do this, and every time I make you kill yourself because I'm the Purple Man, I'm a psychopath. What makes you think this will work? It's pretty hilarious, and it's like, why would you ever do that? Why would you ever play with that fire?
Because it's not going to happen to them, not
This
me.
could possibly happen to me.
Nope, I'm too smart for that. No, I'm not.
Because it's true, if you were a guard and you were watching over this guy and he had the power to make anyone do anything, eventually you'd get desperate or curious and be like, well, okay, we'll call this person for me. Well, try this. Oh, sure, I'll do it.
All right, so from one of our panel's loves of Daredevil, let's move over to another one of our panelists' loves of Harley Quinn. Caitlin?
So, the zaniness continues in Harley Quinn. Oh, goodness, which one are we on right now?
Is it 16 or 15?
I think we're on 16 now.
Okay.
So, essentially, the giant alien king that they've released from beneath its underground prison is rampaging through the city. In the previous issue, Harley had tried to kind of talk him down out of, taking over the entire planet. She was like, look, planets are hard things to run. It's a huge hassle. Why would you want to do that? And they do it over pastrami sandwiches. And then, he eats so much pastrami that the deli counter eventually runs out. And enraged by his lack of pastrami, he goes on a rampage throughout the entire city and resolves to conquer the world by force. Because, of course, the tipping point was no pastrami. Power Girl joins forces with Harley to take this thing out. Yay! I know, I love the Power Girl Harley team-ups because I think they're dynamic and their interchanges are always very funny.
And Palmiotti wrote her for years, too, so it makes sense that he keeps bringing her back.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, very cute. And, she eventually takes down the big bad guy. There is a little gag in the middle where, the big bad guy is like, I'll stop destroying the world if you willingly become my queen. And she's like, okay, a date's worth a shot, I guess, if it'll keep you from destroying the world. And he tells her to disrobe so they can procreate, and then she kicks the shit out of him, and they re-imprison him, and then that's over. They were like, we just need to hurry and wrap this up so we can get on to the actual story arc. So the next story arc that's coming up is there's a shadowy government organization that is turning homeless people into food. We have seen this organization. I don't know if it's the same one, but we've seen a similar plot or similar organization pop up in Batgirl.
Right.
Where Penguin's son's new Uber app is picking up homeless people on the street and relocating them to indiscriminate locations. Similar thing is happening in Harley. We don't know if they're the same organization or not, but they're turning homeless people into food.
Soylent Green is made of hobos.
Yeah.
They're picking up homeless people and relocating them to the grave.
Yep.
Oh, but dumb titch.
Thanks, Rob.
Exactly. And then at the end of this, we see a glimpse into a future, I guess, a dystopian Gotham where there are Batman fan arenas where you can have gladiatorial matches over who's the biggest Batman fan boy or girl.
Oh, they're forums.
And whoever...
Literally.
No. I have to go now.
No, stay.
And whoever wins gets sent back in time to meet Batman. So we leave off with our winner, but she gets sent back. But she uses her, I guess, one free pass to go back in time in order to meet Batman's murderer, Harley Quinn. And those are like So we finally wrapped up the
Wow.
weird naked alien thing. Now we've got the hobo thing to deal with. And then the next arc on the horizon, which is Time Murder Cop. So
Nice.
that's
Sounds like a busy week.
it's getting cluttered in the house of Harley Quinn. Like how can I follow or care about this much?
That's-
Wow.
huh.
It's overwhelming me.
There's a lot going on in the world.
That
of
is
Harley.
kind of Palmiotian Connor's writing in many ways, where it's like, let's drop lots of story potential in here because we don't know which one we're going to go with.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
feels like that's what they're doing, and because it's like they had a really nice, clean arc with what was kind of going on with Harley Sin, and they had a nice, clean arc with the Joker shenanigans, and now it's just the homeless people arc. I was down with. I was going on with that. I was like, yeah, it's exactly like Sweeney Todd, but it's Sweeney Quinn. So let's go with it. But it's too much. It's too much now. I want one thing I can follow.
That sounds crazy to me. You know what also is crazy?
What else?
Your love of Jesus.
Do it.
No. You
Do
know what else is crazy? You know what else is crazy?
What?
Authentic apathy. Subscribing for 3 months in a row.
Oh, shit.
Nice.
Well,
Three
welcome to the
splooges.
3-month club,
Oh,
buddy.
I like how the splooge trailed off into a whisper, just a whisper of a splooge.
As it sometimes does.
I also noticed the people in the chat, one person said splooge. You guys know better than that. You guys know when somebody subs, you guys got to do splooge. You guys know that.
Yeah, it's true.
Don't get lazy.
I think
Don't get
Daryl
lazy
did it.
on the
I know she
splooges,
did
man.
it. I know she was there
Yeah.
for us.
Don't get lazy on the splooges, people.
Mm-mm.
All right, we only have 4 more books left, guys. And if you
Only
couldn't-
4.
If you couldn't tell, the one everybody's waiting for is somewhere in there, and I'm not going to tell you where, because I plan these things out because I'm evil like that. The next book we're doing, which is a book apparently I kept thinking a lot of people had read, so I put it in.
I got you there, Tip. You and me, man.
Okay, because I was like, all these people read it. Put in chart, good, whatever. It's Trinity number 7, so I think we'll just touch on that really quickly. This issue took what
It's a comic.
Yeah, I was like, everybody read this one. No. Oh, okay.
It was actually really good, so
It
I'm kind of sad
was.
nobody read it.
I'm sure it
Took
was.
the Trinity that we had and gave us an all different Trinity of semi-evil, not evil anymore, and magical people, which included
Morally complex.
yeah, Ra's al Ghul and Cersei's and Suplex or Superlex. There, which by
Wait a
the
minute,
way,
wait
they're
a
doing a
minute.
lot with him. It makes you feel like, are you leaving?
So are they not? So I thought the Trinity was only going to focus on Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. So
The
are they
next
doing
issue
3
we're
sets
going
of
back
3?
to about talking about Superman. This one, trust me, they are in a way, in a weird,
Evil
creepy
Trinity.
way, because these 3 end up at like this cave, essentially.
Mhm.
They're all called there and stuff, and they find this pit, and immediately it's got like liquid and magic and lights and blah, and immediately Rachel's is like, it's a Lazarus pit, and Cersei's like, nah, idiot, it's Pandora pit. And he's like, you're just making stuff up now. Now you're just saying things because it's purple. And she's like, no, dummy, like back in the day, like Pandora opened that box and stuff went everywhere, but not everything wanted to go out there, because when they saw the innocence of man, they like freaked him out, so they hid in like these pits. So she's like, we gotta prove ourselves to the pits, and then we can use the pits. And so that's what happens. And from the pits, this thing comes out, like, out of nowhere. It's like this, like genetic material essentially just pops out. And it's literally a single being that is a hybrid of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman. And it's really gross looking.
It's
Wow.
super upsetting.
Yeah.
Like, it has a Wonder Woman's skirt and Batman's legs.
Yeah. Yeah, and her
Wow.
hair, and like part of his mask, and then like some of Superman's symbol, and like his cape. It's really weird. It's got her lasso around the neck, and they all have to
basically
fight it.
looks like Bizarro.
Yeah, kind of. And this is the issue that I realized that Super Lex has like lasers in his like hip region. I was like, what?
Laser tip.
Wow.
I think my
No, I
grandma
was-
got those installed.
Yeah, like what is that for? What in what situation did you think you would need to use those at that level? Like,
Sometimes you need to
apparently
kill
that
something at
moment.
hip height.
right? You're like, listen, lady, this isn't working out.
What if
Super Lex away.
Fire
what
the
if you have
lasers
a villain
by.
that's exactly Hip Ice?
Yeah, I was like, that's really weird. But,
You will tell nobody, lasers.
Right, and we get like a lot of interesting like in their head dialogue where like each of them is kind of talking about who they are and what it is they're doing and all that stuff, and we get a lot of interesting stuff from Cersei's where she's kind of explaining the fact that she's like, look, we might be like gods or like godlike or whatever, but like we are the ones who have the most to lose because it's like we know greatness in a sense, and so like they're terrified of the heroes in a way because those heroes could take it away from them, and that's why they have to prove themselves to this thing, and in the end they do, and they're like, and Lex immediately is like, we have to get rid of it because like I really shouldn't even be pairing up with you guys right now, but I'm only doing it because we have to figure out what's going on here. And so
I'm kind
she's
of a
like,
good
hang
guy
on,
if you didn't
just
notice.
a hot second. I want you to just come here in this other room for a minute. I gotta show you something. And when they do, I will give you the last page reveal. They enter this room, and on this huge stone wall is this carving, and it's maybe Mesopotamian, maybe Egyptian. I'm not 100% on that one. But it's clearly Ra's al Ghul, a different version of Lex, and Cersei is lording over people. They're giants, essentially, amongst people.
See, to me, that's cool. Like, I like that. See, it would have been more interesting if Trinity was took like the same idea as like Earth One, where it's just like a single title and it just focuses on different people. I think it would have been cool if it was like if it was Trinity and it was just like a different Trinity each time. So like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman in the first one, and then the next one it's like Guy Gardner and Jon Stewart and Hal Jordan, and then the next one it's like Superwoman or you guys understand what I'm saying, like just a different
Trinities,
Trinity. Trinities, exactly. Like that would have been a really cool thing because then it would have just gone. There's a train going by my house, guys, and it's the sun's flickering. It's now there's,
I
there's
prefer the
It's
chat
the Lex
definition,
Express.
which is haunted.
Yeah. Rob's at a rave party.
With the
Yeah, I'm
Holy
having a
Ghost.
rave. I'm having a really quiet rave. but yeah,
It's a really
it's
chill rave.
It's a really chill rave. No, it's. I mean, I really liked I loved the first story arc of Trinity. I think it kind of puttered out at the end, but I think it was because like Manipool just didn't know where to go.
Right.
The ending was very much like, let love guide the way and everything will be solved.
With the power of love, we can do anything.
Don't
The
forget that
power of love.
this issue is written by Cullen Bunn.
Yes.
Oh, this issue is. Oh, okay.
Yes.
So was it just like a one shot? Is that all it is?
I don't know.
It's a little breather. I think
Yeah.
Manipul is coming back, but he just needs to recover.
Right, but it's like weirdly setting something up that they may or may not ever use. So the next issue is going to focus on Superman.
Huh.
It's kind of
Okay.
cool. Like, this was just a lot of fun, and like it's literally like, look, if you didn't read the last like arc of Trinity, like you could jump on here.
You can
And-
jump on right here, yeah. Because I think we're being introduced to the Dark Trinity, and I think ultimately Trinity will culminate between a clash between the two. I thought it would have been cool to see like a triple character study for each one, but I think there was too much plot setup in this one to really hope for that. So I think we are going to see the villains Trinity versus the superhero Trinity. And I think it's cool because I mean it's Batman's 3 major villains apart from Joker, which I can understand why they didn't want to bring him back for this, versus the DC pillars, which will make for a very awesome clash. And I did like Lex's monologue because it makes Lex to me the scariest of the two, just because his whole monologue was revolved around, I know what's best. I ultimately am always going to know what's best. So even if I do the wrong thing, it will always be for the right reasons. And that's the best kind of villain.
Yeah, it's for me. It's interesting because I don't know if this book is telling us the future for Lex, or if it's going to be something where it's like maybe this goes somewhere, or maybe he's like, no, guys, I'm not either of you. Like Ra's al Ghul, you're a lunatic. You're an actual lunatic. And Cersei, you're a god. Like,
yeah.
I'm just a guy who wants to be one.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
And wishes
Look
he
at my
had
fancy
hair,
suit.
and I can't have that, so... And I've
Yeah.
got hip lasers. So in place of
Yeah,
that, I have
and
hip
like
lasers.
like on the wall over there is like the guy who just jumps into the water hole every once in a while and then comes out crazy for a little bit and then just keeps on living. So
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah. I thought it was
like-
cool, too, when they were showing, like, Cersei's talking about, like, the evil from, like, back in the day. and they show like the modern day evil, which is like, you know, like Joker and like Gorilla Grodd and like all that stuff, right? They're very Batman centric on that side. But in the old school ones, it's like a bunch of like who cares? Like you don't even know what they are. They're just demons. But up front looks like it's Trigon, and then right behind it looks like Etrigan. And I was like, that's kinda
nice.
cool. It looks like it, not 100%, but I was like, that's kind of cool.
That's a nice pull if it's true.
That is nice.
Yeah.
So
See, that would be a cool trinity. Trigon, Etrigan, and hell, I don't know who else you would
demon.
have.
I want to see some Ancient Evil trilogy, please. Trinity, sorry.
right, so like kind of cool. I had a lot of fun with it. I think it's like a nice respite. And I'm looking forward to the next one, and won't that be fun?
Cool.
But all right, so 3 more guys. This one I feel like we've been waiting for the return of Rob to talk about Thor number 17.
Yeah, boy.
Oh, man.
How about it, man? How about it?
Oh, cool, man. Let me tell you something now, man. Dude, the Shi'ar Asgard War is money. Like it is
wicked.
money. Dude, I like the Jason Aaron. Okay, so Joe, you might know about this. So
Yes.
Shara and Kithri, whatever it is.
Yes.
The Shi'ar gods. All right, do you know about them?
Not particularly, but I know. Were they pre-existing, or is this the first time we're seeing them?
This is really the first time we're seeing them. There's a reason.
Okay.
All right. So for years and years and years and years and years, they were just like the basis behind the Shi'ar mythology. All right. They were like Zeus. They were like, you know, Athena, Hera. They were just like, you know, the Shi'ar Empire was like, they existed at one point in time. We do this in honor of Shara and Kithri, you know, or whatever it is.
Right.
All right. That was always the thing. We'd never really seen them before. The only time we ever saw them was in backstory or something like that. This is the first time we're actually seeing them incorporated as
Right.
existing beings. Dude, like, we know this is going to culminate in the Phoenix Force battle.
Yes.
It's like it's Odin's son and it's Jane Foster versus the Phoenix Force.
We've seen the covers, yeah.
Yes, and I love that Jason Aaron is building towards this. I like that it's just like a series of trials. It's just like a giant cat and mouse game. Like, I like that whole idea. I like that Jason Aaron is continuing the themes of the all that storm that existed at some point in time that exists inside the Hammer now.
Yes. The sentient storm.
The sentient storm, exactly. But see, that's my question is, where's he going to go with that? Because I feel like that's going to lead into something that it's not just a storm. You know, it's not just like a storm that was rampaging across the cosmos. Like
It's something
you know,
biblical.
Exactly. I wouldn't be surprised if, like, essentially what happened is Odin's son harnessed the power of creation. And like that exists inside the Hammer. I have no idea if that's the case or not. But I have a hard time believing that Jason Aaron is going to say, okay, here are these basically creation myth beings that actually exist now, and they're going to be, you know, waging all kinds of hell, causing a rough life for Jane Foster to kind of resurrect that, and then do nothing with this storm.
Yeah.
And have like that huge moment where the Hammer like absorbs a supernova and turns it back into a regular star. Like, you know, I have a hard time. Like, I feel like it's going to lead into something crazy. And we know right off the bat that, like, Odin's son and Jane Foster wouldn't stand a chance against the Phoenix Force. Like, they're just not powerful enough. The Phoenix Force is a multiversal entity. They just wouldn't have the ability to go against it. But I kind of feel like what Jason Aaron is doing is sort of reworking. Because I thought about this when I was going back through that, and I was like, well, it was always assumed that, like, Asgard came into existence when the universe came into existence. But what if it didn't? What if it was there before the universe came into existence, and it was literally just the creation of the universe, and whatever energy was left over was harnessed, and that's what's inside the Hammer? There's a million different ways to go. But the fact that I'm constantly on the edge of my seat, the fact that I'm constantly just kind of looking over to see what happens next, I think is a testament to how well Thor is written.
Definitely.
So, Thor, dude, it's what's happening right now in Thor is nothing shy of spectacular. I think that when Jason Aaron... It is. When Jason Aaron's all said and done, I think people are going to look back and they're going to say, you know, going all the way back to God Butcher, it's one of the greatest runs to have ever happened with the concept, the character of Thor.
Oh, yeah.
And
speaking of God Butcher, I'm glad you mentioned that. Aaron does a nice little continuity gag in here where, like, one of the little gods who were left over from the Butcher's massacre on Annibidan City, he's like, man, you know, these Shi'ar guys, these are the sort of cruel, sadistic gods that Gore the God Butcher was railing against. Man, I wish he could have killed you two instead of all my friends.
That's who that guy was. I was sort of thinking about that because, like, he was sitting on, like, the side of, like, that little Pantheon thing, and he was just looking sad. I was like, where have I seen him before? And I couldn't rack my memories to remember what it was. Now, here's a question, because I wanted to ask you this, because I was sitting here thinking about that. Like, who do you think it was that rose out of the volcano at the end? Yeah, no.
I've heard a lot of interesting theories. Maybe it's one of those old fire giant guys we haven't seen in a bit. Maybe it is the Phoenix Force. I don't know. But why would the Shi'ar be able to summon the Phoenix Force? That wouldn't make sense.
I mean, the Phoenix Force is kind of like a guardian for the Imkron Crystal, but only insofar that the Shi'ar Empire are like, hey, that person wants to destroy the Imkron Crystal, so the Phoenix is like, okay, let's go fight him. They don't really like weaponize it. It's not like a lantern ring.
It's true.
So, yeah, so it kind of serves to a degree, but I'm kind of curious, like, who is coming out of that? Because the Phoenix Force wouldn't come out of a volcano. It'd be badass if it did, but I'm just saying the Phoenix Force isn't going to come all. But
well, also, too, as someone who did like 12 years hard time Catholic school, I love the Shi'ar God's God game. So it's like, and now it's the game of plague, and now it's the game of having a father kill his firstborn son because we told him to.
Oh, dude, that was nuts.
Shi'ar gods are such dicks.
They are, and Thor's like, "Oh my God, you maniacs! Why do you keep doing this? Because we're gods. It's what we do."
I feel like it, man. But yeah, they were taking some Old Testament rules right there, and a little bit of that early New Covenant, a little bit.
Yeah. Let's create a race of Titans and have them battle each other for our amusement.
Yeah,
Yes.
dude, it's
got
some
a
of the
little
best.
Nephilim there. Oh
Yeah.
I will say this, kind of a final thought on Mighty Thor. If you're not reading it right now, you're doing yourself an incredible disservice. Like whether or not you love Jane Foster is irrelevant. The story, like everything else that's going on around it, is insanely good. Like it's some of the best
saga.
world building. It's some of the best world building.
That's another thing I don't get. People are like, no, not enough heroics and craziness happening. Thor is so awful because meh. And I'm like, but it's one of the few storylines right now where we just have crazy-ass superheroics and trans-dimensional wars and gods and mightiness and heroes
monsters.
of old and monsters and all that good shit. And, like, people are like, but no. And I'm like, shut up. Shut up and enjoy this really good story, you prick.
Dude, I loved War of the Nine Realms or whatever it is. Like, I love that whole thing. Like, it's been nothing but stellar ever since. It's amazing.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
So I think what we could take out of this is Thor was fine.
It's all right, I guess.
I
If you
mean,
like it, if you're into that kind of
I don't
thing.
know. Like if you like to read things that make you happy, I guess you'll like this.
If you've read everything else,
but if you're against pure happiness, then
enjoy and having a fun time, then definitely
don't. Definitely just keep doing whatever you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, that's a great way to describe it. Thor is for people who love happiness. Like people who hate Thor, people who just hate happiness. There we go.
Like
why do you hate freedom?
It's just like that.
Done.
Man.
There you go. All right, guys, 2 more to go. 1 more before the thing that everyone's been waiting for. So I'll make this super duper quick. I try to throw in 1 indie book each week. And this week I thought I would, instead of talking about God Country #3, which was awesome, I'm going to talk about American Gods #1. Hey, do you guys remember in 2001 Neil Gaiman put out a novel called American Gods?
I vaguely remember hearing about it once or twice. I believe it's getting one of them moving picture shows, too.
They've been saying that since 2014. They've been saying that for 3 years.
Moving picture shows.
And it's 2017, and we just are getting a comic book adaptation of this, which to me, I'm like, it took you this long? The man wrote Sandman, and you're like, hey, maybe we, take one of his other things and make it a comic? What do you think about that?
Now, we hate money.
American Gods as a book, so when it came out as the comic, I'm super excited. Granted, I do have access to the book, and now I'm questioning, do I read the book and then ruin the comic, or do I read the comic and then get the extra from the book? That's probably the way I'm going to go. American Gods, this is #1. They're calling it Shadows. The story and words they're saying are by Neil Gaiman, but the script and layouts are by P. Craig Russell, so I'm sure there's going to be little differences here and there, things they cut out, whatever, but they are pulling directly from the book. I thought this was a lot of fun. It's really cool. I mean, it's Gaiman doing what Gaiman does best, which of course is dealing with mythology and the supernatural and man itself and man's beliefs and just all of that stuff We don't get a whole lot of that in this. We see little tidbits of it here and there, but we're just building, and that is what he also does really well. And I gotta tell you, this book was an effortless read. Like, it's long. I think this is maybe 28 pages or so. I'm not 100%, I don't have that count in front of me, but it flew by, and it's not like it's not wordy. It's just really well written, and when it's really well written, it's really easy and a joy to read. And I gotta tell you too, this is a mature reader's book, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want to hear that you wouldn't pick this up and you weren't supposed to be reading a section of this because right? It's for adults. I'm sorry. And that section of the book I'm talking about is really well done. And they're not going to take it out and not going to censor this, but I can see why the series would be on Stars.
You just encouraged every curious...
I know, but hey, I encourage them to spend the money on it, but then I take no blame for it.
That's the way to
it
do
wasn't
yeah.
me.
I like your Tiffany's fine print. Even though this is really good shit and it's very mature in a lot of ways, and yes, exactly in the way that you're thinking of, I take no responsibility in encouraging you to buy and read this really, really awesome thing that may or may not also have adult scenarios in it.
Oh yeah,
I'm just saying it's really cool.
There are like four. It ends with the adult scenario, and like the adult scenario goes like a way where you're like, what is happening? But like originally, it's like really, it's just incredibly well described, and then like it goes like a crazy way because it's a Neil Gaiman book.
Yeah.
I can't wait for the next one of this, and like I do hope that they inevitably make that Star series, because that would be kind of cool to see how it translates. Now we'd have like 3 different media that it would be in, and that's kind of fun. So there you go, American Gods #1, out by Dark Horse, which for me is so foreign to see this man working with that company not in Vertigo. But it also makes sense because What's-Her-Face isn't at Vertigo anymore.
Oh,
so
that's sad.
Yeah, but that's okay. Where I think she at Dark Horse now? I can't remember. But
she got a good new job somewhere.
She might be at Dark Horse, and that's probably why he's over there then, because she and he are friends. So yeah. Anyway, guys, I guess that's it, right? We don't have anything else to talk about.
No, nothing big happened this week. No one was right about a certain fusion theory. Nothing happened.
We usually end on an indie book, right?
We do. You're absolutely right. I think Rob wants to go play Overwatch anyway, right? And Sal's going to be like, coming in at some point.
I got a dinner I gotta make, it's a whole thing.
Right? I don't know.
We're all busy people.
Guys, before we go, of course, we are going to talk about Superman number 19. Came out this week. This one, we're literally, I was pretty proud of myself with this lineup, guys. I bookended the show with I bookended the show with books that we all read. We've all read Batman. We all read Superman. I am gonna let Rob, because he is our special guest, take this one and talk to us about.
Oh man,
Superman.
It's coming. Oh man, he's got to hype up for it. He's got to feel the love.
See, that's why, look, I very specifically choose the books that I know I want to have Rob lead, because I'm ready. I'm getting comfy now.
The passion.
It's story time with Rob.
People sitting in the chat going, Joel called it. Joel called nothing.
I called something.
Joel's theory was pointed in the wrong direction. It's obsolete.
I called a fusion. A fusion took place.
Oh,
Rob, you're muted.
Oh no, is he really? Oh no.
I am muted. My children. I am unmuted now. We gather here today to praise our Lord and Savior, Superman. Let me tell you something, man. Superman is the best thing come out of DC Earth. There'll be no arguing that point. Dude, this story. Let me tell you something, man. If God was writing Superman right now, this is what it would look like right now. It is, dude. It's amazing, dude. This is some of the best. This is some of the best story ever. This was incredible. I mean,
it really was.
In all seriousness, sitting down from like the Path of Doom, and Action Comics number Volume 1, Son of Superman Volume 1, up to this point has been an insanely good ride, and this comic was everything I was hoping it would be, with regards to like the kidnapping of Jonathan Kent, where he went to, all that kind of good stuff. It's everything that I'd hoped it would be. But I feel like there's so much that has kind of been answered here. But then for every question that gets answered, another question comes up.
It's true.
And it's so cool. So what it looked like we got here was basically like a return of the original Superman, and that's what I've been trying to like wrap my head around. I've been trying to wrap my head around the idea of what's been going on with this. How does New 52 Superman and Superman, how do they relate to one another? Because like we talked about this in the chat, and what seemed to be happening, you know, what everybody was saying was, or I'm sorry, what we were talking about anyway, was the idea that they were basically like two distinctly different people, you know, or something like that. This was so we thought. And what was going on in the comics, and what we as the reader had always assumed, was that we had the New 52 Superman, and we had the pre-New 52 Superman. And the pre-New 52 Superman showed up here just by way of convergence. Yes. But there were questions even then that weren't answered. Like convergence, Superman just, you know, Lois Lane was pregnant. We didn't know how. We didn't know where that happened. All we knew was that she was just pregnant. They show up, Superman, Lois, and Clark, the kid's born. Like, huh?
I was going to say, well, with the dome, we knew they were able to conceive in a way they were never able to conceive before because Superman was without his powers for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. But what I'm saying is we didn't know like how we got to that point. And it just, at the time, it just seemed like a natural progression. You know, they've been married. It's just a time will come when, you know, when they'll have a kid. But when Superman showed up, everybody that encountered him was like, you're an anomaly. You're not supposed to be here. Mm-hmm. Well, the idea was, okay, well, maybe that's just because of the fact that he's in a different universe, that the New 52 is just a different universe. But then the whole idea here is that it's a return of the old and the new, and then the pre-New 52 Wally West, or at least the redheaded Wally West, and, you know, brings in a whole bunch of new questions.
10 missing years.
10 missing years. My thought is this: what if nothing that we believed is right? What if it's not that Superman is an anomaly because he's from a different universe? What if it's somewhere along the line, the Superman that's New 52 Superman, that's just a different half. That's just like they were split.
That seems to be what they're saying.
That's usually what they're saying. So the question, so my idea is we get kind of a return. We get like a whole version of Superman. It's the New 52 Superman and the pre-New 52 Superman, but they were never New 52 Superman and pre-New 52 Superman. They were just two different sides of the coin. Now that begs the question, you know, if that's the case, then how do you reconcile Superman, Lois, and Clark? How do you reconcile Convergence? That's the issue.
They're retconning the retcon is what it seems like. Now, Mixie says Superman got split, and they show a panel from War where, you know, Superman is standing on the rooftop across. We don't know how they got split and when, but they got split at some point.
Well, and that raises a really good idea because they were two distinctly different characters.
Yes, they were.
Like the pre-New 52 Superman and the New 52 Superman. New 52 Superman was young. He was rash. He would act before he thought. Like
he was red-blooded.
He was red-blooded. He was impulsive. But the pre-New 52 Superman was methodical. He thought things out, and he was cool. But he like one of the things that I hope you guys notice, with the exception of when his son went missing, he never got angry. He never gets angry. He never lashes out. He never loses his cool. Wow. He's patient as hell, and so it makes sense that there's two different personalities. Yep. You have the rash, the younger, you know, impulsive Superman, and then you have the more experienced Superman, and it's just two different personalities, two different, you know, a person that was split into two different people. And if that's the case, if that's the direction that Dan Jurgens is going for, I love that.
Same.
I love that idea. If that's what he's shooting for, then they're just two different things. Because what a way to bring back red and blue Superman.
Totally.
It's an incredible way to do that. And even they were talking about it with like Lois, with Lana Lang, with Lois Lane. You know, that it was red, you know, so on and so forth. It was just the New 52 Superman's powers went on. And to me, that was a great idea because when Jonathan Kent was in the realm with Mr. Picklick, whatever it was, you know,
Mixie.
Energy.
Mr. Pickles.
Yeah, Mr. Pickles.
Mr. Pickles.
The energy of Superman and Lois Lane, like their powers were there. New 52 Superman and New 52 Lois Lane was there. Jonathan was talking to them, you know, and so I love the direction this is going in because I'm so excited to see what happens next. I'm so excited to see how Reborn ends.
It fits so perfectly. I mean, he took all of these loose ends and all of these random puzzle pieces that we kind of thought were just going to be plot holes forever and fixed them all up and made them tie together so perfectly. And it's so cathartic and it's so satisfying to watch this all come together because it's like, finally.
It does fit perfectly, which is so funny because you guys said my fusion thing was wrong for so long and made fun of me.
You said that the reveal was going to be the fusion and the reveal was Mr. Pickles.
Joel,
Okay, well,
Joel, I want
was
to
half
just
correct.
point out,
I
I
was
made
half
fun of you for your obsession with Kang and Time Babies.
That's fine. I earned that. I wear that. I wear that L on my chest.
Okay,
That's
I mean,
fine.
if we're talking about things that we're ridiculing Joel over, Joel, I've also ridiculed you for being too Canadian.
You know what's funny
chain
about
wallet and my tracksuit.
this whole
And your
red
tracks,
the red and blue
especially.
thing is funny because it's like, yeah, it could be that, or it could be they're just doing that because they're doing. You know what I mean? Like we're not gonna know until we know. Like until they've decided they want to tell us, because like they're smart guys over there. Like they know the history themselves. They could be throwing like this stuff out there just to throw us off the trail. Or it could be exactly what it is. Like it could just be like, yeah, we're in on our sleeves. Who cares? There it is. But the fact is, it's funny because it's hard because when you think of Superman, if you ask someone to draw a Superman, they would put 2 colors on that man.
Yeah.
They would forget the yellow was there entirely. You know what I mean? Like those 2 colors are just him. They're him 100%. They're him more than their Captain America, which is hilarious. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like that's who he is. And so like I'm not saying that anyone's wrong. I'm just putting that out there, chat. So relax. I'm just saying it's so clever of them to toy with this idea, but also to recognize the fact that that's the colors he is, and it's just like they could do whatever they want and it still would be awesome.
Well, that's why I say like things are kind of crazy because like okay, for example, in Superman Lois and Clark, it opens up by simply saying, like Superman was there. He was like, we showed up here basically like a couple days before the Justice League fight. Well, the Justice League fight against Darkseid at the beginning, was the first major fight when all the superheroes came together. They'd been around for 5 years before that. At least that's how it was in the New 52. And so I don't know. I mean, it's cool the way it's all coming together because there's so many questions. It could just be that they just fused because their powers are similar, absorbing energy, into itself. Right. But it could be that they were 2 different characters. But the fact that we don't know, and the fact that we're so anxious to know, much like Jason Aaron's Thor, I think is a testament to how well the story's written and how interesting it is. So
yeah, absolutely. And I got to tell you, when we talked about Action Comics. And the whole Mixie reveal and all of that stuff, I didn't care for the way Mixie was written in that, and like people were like, "How could you not like that?" And it's just like, I'm sorry, man. Like my experience with the character was from the animated show, and that was not what I was expecting. Now, I read Superman. I was like, if I had read this book first, I love him. I love the way he's written in this.
They make him a tragic bad guy, which is interesting.
Well, yeah, they do. But in this, I feel like it's just handled better. Like, in Superman, I feel like they did a better job with the character than they did in the other one. The other one, I was just like, what? And then they threw in the backup, which we absolutely 100% needed, and Dini did a nice job. But, like, this was, I was so on board. I was just like, this completely changed my viewpoint.
Yeah.
I think for especially for that first issue where we're just starting to see kind of the change in Mr. Pickle's character, we're in a transitioning stage for that character, which makes him very tricky to write. So I can definitely understand why it would be a little bit of a turnoff in Action Comics to see the way he's written, because we don't have a transition moment in Superman. We just have, this is who he is now.
Yep.
This is what he's become. And we're seeing kind of this back and forth wiffle-waffliness between the playful character he once was and the villain he's becoming. And you do see him as so playful throughout kind of Superman's history, so I can understand how he's really more transitioning from a trickster into a villain.
Yeah, he has a motive now.
But he was a textbook trickster.
Yeah.
So, and I think that transition is awesome. But also, really quick, the Lois and Clark love story where throughout the universes they always manage to find each other.
Yeah,
touching.
So much.
Sweet.
It was really cute. I really liked it. And how she's like, I don't know who you are, but I'm gonna hang on your back and we're gonna go try to find our son that we don't remember.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, she just trusts him. That's awesome.
Dude,
or how about that John saves
epic.
himself? I was a big fan of that.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like when Mr. Pickles took him and had him in the big, globe thing, whatever it was, and he started talking to the energy, I was like, okay, right off the bat, we know that was a New 52 Superman, New 52 is New 52 Lois Lane. My thought was he was going to absorb those powers and then full on become Superboy. Like, I am now Superboy. Like, I have full control of my abilities, so on and so forth. I was kind of hoping that would happen. But still, I did love the idea of him, like, more or less solving his own problems. Because I feel like one of the coolest things about him is that he's young, he's learning his powers. But I think that it also says something about the idea of him being a little self-sufficient. Because I think
he's not helpless.
Exactly. This is going to be one of those small stories that's just like a lump along the road of like becoming a character that can literally stand on his own 2 feet, and that's what I think is going to benefit him the most. But I think a lot of people got a lot of development. I think one of the saddest things was that Lois Lane didn't remember their son. And that was one of the most crushing things when Superman, he's like, you and I have a son together, and it was like, why can't you remember? How can you not remember our son? And I was like, that's the saddest thing I've ever seen.
It was that too, and then when Superman started to lose it, when he couldn't remember his name, I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like to know that you should know something, and then to not be able to access that, like I can't handle that kind of thing personally. So it's just like, I can't imagine that, and like. I loved that literally their bond, like the Lois and Clark bond, also with a little help from John elsewhere, got them through that. And like, I love watching Mixie in this be cheated himself. Like, I love to see the cheat be cheated. And
it's really nice.
Like, it's so poetic. And like, they never see it as that. Like, they just see it as like, you're taking advantage of me. And it's just like, man, if you could just understand the hypocrisy that's going on right here, it would be pretty awesome, but you can't. And like, that was just so great.
Yeah, it was cool.
This issue was it was pretty perfect.
It was.
It was.
That I'm disappointed with is it means that this Superman is not Dr. Manhattan, so we don't get to see him trying to live out his life with Silk Spectre that he couldn't have.
But maybe Manhattan's the one who split them, though.
Right? He's just like, let's just see how this works, because I can't figure it out.
Well, I also felt a little duped too, because if I remember correctly, the cover is like Mr. Oz.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
And it's like we're gonna find out who Mr. Oz is, and it's like, nope.
I don't.
one more issue left.
One more issue
think
left.
That's fully a misdirection though, because I feel like as we start to go through and maybe pick up, upon the second and third read and start to pick apart this issue for clues, I think we are going to find out a little bit more about Dr. Oz through some of the clues that have been left behind visually and even a little bit in the dialogue throughout this issue.
Yeah.
I don't think that cover is a total misdirect. I think it's just asking us to look a little bit closer at the issue.
You know what's funny about those covers to me is the types of covers we've seen on like throughout this arc, the Reborn arc, in Action and in Superman. It ties them together, which is like, very smart, guys. You made it so it's really easy for me to find them on the shelf.
Yeah.
But they're also just like, we know you're already buying it, so we don't have to make this super flashy to get someone to just come in and pick it up. Like, we can do
It's really true.
We'll put one guy on the cover. The average comic book reader, maybe they know who like Mr. Oz is, maybe they don't, but we don't care because we already got your money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they do.
Yeah.
Yes,
They do.
They got my money.
I wonder if they'll do the same thing for the button.
My money right now.
Oh God, for the button, dude. Let me tell you something, man. See, this is why I say DC's just hitting it out of the park, man. Like, it's just like one story finishes, and it's not like, man, well, now the story arc's finished. Like, what am I gonna do? It's like, I've got a million other stories going on right now. They're all amazing. Like, it's crazy.
Damn button.
Yeah, that damn button.
Hey, as long as they keep the mystery going, I think it's when they run out of mystery, we're gonna have some problems.
I need a glittery enamel pin of that button.
Yeah.
I tried to find one at ECC and Artist Alley and could not.
Yeah.
That's funny.
I mean,
I know a couple of people came back with not the enamel ones. They had just the button ones.
Yeah, I want like the enamel pin. A little bit higher quality than that button.
Yeah.
Like gold shiny. Want it. Gotta be shiny.
Gotta be. She wants the UV gloss over at the dome.
Yeah,
Make
want
it,
that.
The hard enamel UV gloss. Done.
Yep, that's
awesome. Everybody. Well,
somebody who makes pins, please.
Guys, literally, if you haven't been reading Superman along with Action Comics, you're missing out because this is where like DC is putting a lot of their effort right now and on like pushing a lot of story forward. I think we all agree that Superman's one of the best books that in Rebirth right now.
Better than it's been in years.
There aren't a lot of great books out there, but this one in particular, across the board, we like it a lot. So
this is up there as like one of the best runs right now for Superman, and that's saying something because the character's been around for like upwards of 75 years.
Absolutely. So definitely go back, go out. Go grab some back issues. Go on Comicsology and just grab them there. It just literally takes a click and then you spend all your money. But I think that's it for us this week, guys. Thank you so much for joining us on the poll. But before we go, I'm going to ask these guys what they've got coming out for the rest of this week, with all 2 days of it that's left, essentially, and where you can find them. Rob, what you got going on?
Tomorrow's Injustice. Saturday, I don't remember off the top of my head. And I'm thinking about starting Jeff Johns' Green Lantern on Sunday, but I have no idea.
Nice.
I don't know.
And we just find you over there right on Comics Explained. If you don't know who this man is, then you live under a rock. I don't know. How about you, Joel? What's going on?
I was muted for a second there. I pulled a Rob, as we call it here. I got all sorts of videos happening on the channel, reviews for comics that are coming out, new podcast, The Comic Multiverse. If you want to listen to that, listen to that up. Also, listen to Cape TV, which is the show I do with Matt for the Weekly Pull channel, which is the channel that this show goes up on. So if you want to hear what's happening on TV, be sure to give that one a listen as well. And that's about it for me.
That's awesome. How about you, Caitlin?
You can find me over on the That Sea Monster channel, spelled with a C, and I do a lot of streaming. I should have another Rule of 3 video out this week, which basically covers the first 3 issues of a comic in its entirety, and then whether or not you should slap it into your pull list.
Solid idea.
Never know, right? It's been working out so far. And then on Saturday, if you guys want, I'm going to do another watching party on Rabbit for Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
So we did it for the premiere, and then I know I'll be doing it. You guys are totally welcome to join me, but Rabbit is a small viewing platform where you pretty much just watch TV ad-free. It's not monetized, so it's really easy to watch all together. You're not going to get flagged or turned off right in the middle of an episode. It's really nice. The room fits about 25 people, so it's first come, first serve. People kind of rotate in and out, but I'll be doing Samurai Jack on Saturday or Sunday. So you guys should come by. It'll be fun. We'll have popcorn. Be great.
That's awesome. Over on Comic Pop, today's back issue was Spider-Man and Deadpool. Isn't it romantic? And the guys had an awesome time with it. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go over, check it out. Again, it's just an awesome time they had together. Also, the latest Elseworlds Exchange will be coming out tomorrow, where Sal had the chance to sit down and talk with webcomics master Brad Geiger. The guy's literally been doing it for like over a decade, so he knows the ins and outs of webcomics. He has a webcomic that's still been going on for that long. So I mean, he knows all about the industry. He knows the trials, the tribulations, the triumphs that come from it. It was a fun chat. Brad himself is awesome. He's a lot of fun. And at some point, I'm not sure when, I filmed another Comic Pop cooking kitchen thing, whatever we're calling that show. So that'll be coming out at some point. We had a good time with that one. I fed the guys. They enjoyed it. So, and if you're looking for that, you can just head on over to Comic Pop, where, we hang out. It's cool. Or whatever. I don't know. But that's pretty much it, guys. Again, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We had a lot to cover this week, and we definitely ran over a little bit, but that's okay, because we had a lot of big books to talk about. In particular, one that everyone was very excited for, and I made you wait all episode for. And I'm not.
It's our first show back from Seattle. I think we earned it.
That's right, absolutely. Don't forget to come back every Tuesday on this Twitch channel to check out the Weekly Pull. It's awesome. Next week, I believe you guys have a special guest as well. We had one just this past Tuesday, and I think there's another one coming out on Tuesday, but I'm not going to reveal who it is, because if they cancel, then it'll just be a schmoes.
Just lousy.
And then, again, come back on Thursday every week for the poll, where we talk about the comics that just came out this week. And then head on over to the YouTube channel, the Weekly Poll. Just search that, you'll find it, and you can find all of the poll episodes, Cape TV, and all that stuff there. Check it out. It's awesome. But otherwise, guys, I hope you have an awesome weekend. Keep reading, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Peace.
Bye.
Bye-bye.